Hello students! I'm recording this video to walk you through the requirements for the disorder flyer that you have due. Alright, let me go ahead and get started with the requirements. So when you go into Unit 5 and you open the folder for Chapter 15 and 16, when you scroll down, you'll see that you have a disorders and treatment flyer that's due. So really, I want you to be able to visually present your understanding of one disorder in a flyer format. What do I mean by a flyer? So if you're somewhere, whether you're at a community center or at a doctor's office, and you want to take something with you, you pick it up, you can open it, you can flip through it, and you can take it home with you. But this has detailed information. It's not basic key points, but it has detailed information. That's what I'm asking you to do. So, I provide you with a list of disorders that you're presented with in this course. You select one disorder of your choice, and then you're going to create a one-page, it can be two-sided of course, but one-page visual flyer that, like I said, you can pick it up and take it home with you. Now you can be creative as to how you want to do it. I like it when students do the three-fold format, or it can be like a one-page sheet, front and back. Either way, whatever you are comfortable with. You don't need to get overwhelmed with the technology, but really I want the information there. So then what you want to include from that one disorder that you picked, you want to include a description. This cannot come from Google search. It needs to come from your OpenStax textbook, the Lumen Learning, or the DSM-5. DSM is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Psychological Disorders. It includes all the information about the various disorders that we know of. It includes over 300 disorders in the manual. You would then include the prevalence. This is how common is this particular disorder? What percentage of the population? What percentage of men, women, children, maybe racial differences? What percent of the population is affected by this particular disorder of your choice? Again, DSM or the textbook, that's where the information is coming from. The causes and risk factors. You make sure that you identify the biological and psychological causes of the disorder. Biological could be hereditary, genes, neurotransmitter imbalance, all those aspects that we talked about in biopsychology earlier. That goes under biological causes. Psychological causes would be learned behavior, stress, it could be memory distortions, it could be environmental factors, all of those that we have discussed over the course of the semester under cognition, under behavioral psychology. So those are your psychological causes of the disorder. And again, this information can come from your textbook or academic journals. You can locate using the library's website. Additionally, from Chapter 16, you will discuss 2 effective treatments. Make sure you not only list the treatment options, but you actually explain specifically how somebody can be treated using that particular treatment option. You would have to go through the chapter, read it thoroughly. That information is not going to just jump at you. And then somewhere as footnote or on the same page or on a separate page, make sure you include citations for where your information came from. Another big component of this assignment is citation of recent research, referencing at least 2 research articles that come from within the last 10 years that will summarize findings related to this disorder. Use in-text citations to identify which articles you are summarizing. Again, internet websites are not acceptable. You must use academic journals, and here's how you can get to the academic journals. You have used this before when you made your infographic assignment, but again, if there's questions about that, how to use this academic journal, I'll post another video for that, just so that I can keep this at a decent length. But what I want to point out is here are your list of disorders that you can pick from. The grading rubric is at the bottom of that page. What I also want to do now is to show you an example of a really good assignment that a student from my previous semester has made. Now, in the original version that they turned in, the sides were not cut off. It's just when I saved it just to be able to share it in screencast, that's when the sides got cut off. But this is the description. They chose schizophrenia. They gave me a detailed description. If you want to see any parts of it, you can pause it and read it in more in detail. But do not copy this information. I've read this flyer several times, so I already know what's on there. So do not repeat that information. So description. They've included symptoms, but they've broken it down: hallucinations, delusions, disorganized motor behavior, negative symptoms. They've broken it down. So that's very well organized. They talk about the risk factors, the environmental, the genetic, the physiological, and then they talk about the prevalence, how common is this disorder. They talk about the treatment options. They focus on two. There's psychotherapy and CBT, and there's biomedical therapy, but they explain each one and specifically go into how these treatment options are used to treat schizophrenia. So it's not just like biomedical therapy and psychotherapy, but explain it, demonstrate your understanding. And then the second page of this flyer is going to talk about the two research findings that I'm asking you to do. Again, this does not have to be too detailed. It can be brief, like what are the new findings in this area. And then the works cited is also included. The way they did it is when they printed it, it's like a threefold flyer. You can open it and so you can use Word to do that. You can also use online tools to do that. Technology is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the information to be included clearly and visually appealing and organized in an organized fashion. Okay, so if there are any questions, feel free to reach out to me. All the best.